I want to take a second and just explain what I mean by the Pettis Project so you'll more fully understand the work that I do and what I'm trying to accomplish by creating this particular project. After completing my book, Confronting Trauma and Toxicity, I began to really ask myself, so, okay, it's done. Everything you wanted to talk about is in your book. So now what? What does it mean to you? And I realized that as I explored the common thread between everything I've ever done or wanted, it's really been about creating a meaningful life for myself. And because I've never known life without trauma, I found ways to overcome whatever adversity that I encountered so that I could get the most out of whatever experience I was having. So I learned to live life like a sponge and to soak up all of the experiences I was having on a moment to moment daily basis, yearly basis, monthly basis, whatever. And I'm so glad I did, because when it came time to moving towards a career change that was abrupt and brought on by things that were outside of my control, I was able to look back on my life experiences and really understand that the things that I wanted as a kid are still being manifested today as an adult. And I refuse to let anyone I encounter take the things that I've accomplished away from me, because those things were done largely for me, even though I chose to serve other people. When you serve other people, you actually receive more than you could ever think you would get. So in a way, it's almost a selfish act, but it's done with deep humility and not looking for anything in exchange. And that's the gift. When you give it away, when you give parts of yourself to other people without looking for anything in return, you get so much more out of life. But it's not a selfish or transactional change. It's something that happens naturally, because as we give and interact in the world in good ways and solid ways, the world responds in kind. The world is our mirror. So as I've gone through my own life experiences and I've thought about, my life, I've been so blessed, because I even taught a class called Creating a Meaningful Life that I walked into, and it was so right for me. It was the best class at the university. We soaked up so many students that the university capped the number of students and the number of sections that we could actually teach. But they couldn't take away what I got out of that class. It's the best class I ever taught. And the title fit me so perfectly, because that is what I try to do every day. And that's what I'm bringing to the public in this form of the Pettis Project. So as you see my work, no matter what I do, I live to serve. I want to help people find the most meaning they can in their lives, and I want them to grow and prosper. And I do it gladly and happily, and do it without any thought of anything in return. So that is my gift to the world. And I try to live that way in everything that I do. That's the common thread in all that I do. And to me, you have to have a meaningful life at both your work as well as in your personal life and all the social things that we do to make life more meaningful for ourselves. But the commonality, the common thread for me is always trying to find meaning, and where I can't find it, to create it for myself and those with whomever I happen to work, but most certainly for the the people that I love. As part of my quest to find meaning in my life, I was really blessed to figure out early on that it was in my control to create. That no matter what else happened around me, I had to learn to do the things that were necessary in order for me to stay on my path, which is creating that really wonderfully meaningful life. And so as I got into my education, I found myself going through degree programs that fully supported my desire to create meaning. It really was that simple. But I was blessed to land in programs that really helped me fulfill my purpose. As an undergraduate, I landed in a social science program at San Francisco State University. And what I didn't realize going in the door that I learned as I left the door was that it gave me the tools I needed to study human beings, which is really what I was interested in. I've always been fascinated by what motivates people, particularly in very stressful situations where there's a cost to be paid if a person makes a mistake. And in that quest, which began in elementary school and a story I'll tell elsewhere, my path was true and it landed me in that program. My second degree was in nonprofit administration. It was a master's degree because I wanted to study more about organizations and what it took to be an effective administrator. And I worked in the nonprofit world, so it made sense for me to get an administrative degree that would give me skills, tools, and techniques to navigate the world that I was working in by choice. But the best of all was my doctorate. My doctorate is in organization and leadership. And what that degree allowed me to do was to learn about the characteristics of well-functioning organizations and what it took to create those. And then on the other side of the degree program, to study leadership and the kinds of behaviors that produce the most effective ways of being so that people can thrive in an organization, both as a leader, but more importantly, the people that we work with as leaders, the people we typically call our followers. So I studied attrition because I was wondering why people wanted to leave organizations. And little did I know that 25 years later, I would come up with the 7 strategies for organizational effectiveness, which I believe, based on everything that I've learned, both from studying it in research and theory, but also in practice, that it really is the response to the human side of enterprise that Douglas McGregor talked about. And it came as a result of trying to answer the question about how to keep people in organizations and the groups within which we work, including our families. And so I learned over the course of my college studies, not just how to be a better leader, but how to be a better person and to work with people, which has paid dividends for raising my son and the work that I've done post-school. The third leg of my stool or 3-legged stool are the presentations that I do that I've done professionally as a public speaker in one form or another. There are lots of stuff that I really like to talk about, but I have the capacity to really try to understand what a particular group needs and then craft something to meet those specific needs. And I love doing this. My work allows me the opportunity to engage people in different environments. I engage people in the work environment through my consulting, my public speaking, but I also engage people through my creating a meaningful life work, which becomes the common theme that I use as I go into different environments to perform different parts of my life's work. But everything from me that has to do with my life's work really comes from the three elements within what I now classify as the Pettis Perry Project. That project is my life's work. That is what I hope to leave when it's my time to check out. So as you look at the total body of my work, I think it's easy to see how it spreads across each of the buckets of work that I do. These are my three lines of business that I've created for myself going forward since I finished my book. I don't think that I could have gained the clarity to be able to identify my work in this way had it not been for me writing Confronting Trauma and Toxicity. That book is my story and the story of 11 other people who tell their stories about how they've navigated life. And as I think about my own life in relationship to theirs, I think the thing for me that is the common thread is the work that I do. It is what produced the book and allowed me to talk about these three fields of business or ways of being in that book. And completing that book enabled me to really capture my life in a way that I could not do had I not done that particular project. And that project now is paying dividends with greater clarity about what I'm trying to accomplish as my purpose for being on this planet. And I give that to you and anyone who needs to hear what I have to say. This is what I do. I will engage you where you are. I will help you in any way that I can. And it's in this book. So be sure to capture it in a way that makes sense for you. But unless you engage the work that I do, I can't benefit you. So I hope that this discussion of the Pettis Perry Project gives you a way to engage with me. I embrace contacting me. So if you have questions, please reach out at the information below. And let's have a conversation about how the things I've learned may be able to benefit you. If there's anything that I've created or done, please take it and utilize it and incorporate it into your life, your work. Because otherwise it really means nothing. It's only something that I've clarified for myself. But I hope that this project, my work, is something that you can find exciting and form a willingness to engage. And we can engage in any three of my areas. And I'm willing to help you do what you wanted to do in order to create the meaningful life you want for yourself and those with whom you work and love. So it is with that spirit that the Pettis Perry Project is born. Thank you for taking the time to listen.